Welcome to lesson 9.3, finding the area and perimeter of parallelograms. Some of this will be review for some of you, and some of this might be a little bit new. So please remember you can go as fast and as slow as you like. First, the vocabulary. Perimeter is the distance around a figure. So if I'm looking for the perimeter of a figure, I'm finding out how long it would take me or how much I would walk if I started from the corner and walked around each side of the figure. Okay, so you can fill in this part of your vocabulary and then you can draw this as your example. The area is the number of square units inside a figure. It's the space a figure takes up. So if I were to take that big parachute that you see in gym classes, if you're to take that and put it down on the ground, all the space that it covers is its area. And that's the same thing for any shape. All right, so perimeter of parallelograms. There's two ways that we can find the perimeter of parallelograms. One way is to do base plus height plus height. We can list it that way. Or we can say that it's 2 times the base plus 2 times the height. As in general with perimeter, we usually just say it's side plus side plus side plus side for however many sides you have. In this case, because it's a parallelogram, we know we have 4. So whichever way you feel most comfortable with is fine with me for you to use. All right, so we'll do two problems together. This one I'm going to give you as an example, and then this one you'll try on your own and we'll go over it. And then you have 2 problems in your notes, numbers 1 and 2, that I would like you to do on your own and post the answers on Edmodo. So these will be your first 2 problems on your own. All right, so first things first, I know since this is a rectangle that over here, this is going to be 10 meters because these sides are congruent, and this is going to be 20 meters because these opposite and parallel sides are congruent. So in this case, I can do 2 times 20 plus 2 times 10, which gives me 40 plus 20, which gives me 60 meters as the perimeter. Now this is the way of using multiplication. The other way I could do this is to do 10, so walk this 10 meters, plus 20, which is the 20 I would walk here, plus the 10 I would walk here, plus the extra 20 that I would walk down here. 10 plus 20 is 30, plus 10 is 40, plus 20 is 60 meters. In both cases, you get the same answer. Right, now in this case with a parallelogram, when you're finding the perimeter, you do want to use this slant. Okay, and we'll talk about when you do not use this slant for the area. So what I want you to do, whichever way you want to use is fine by me, but I want you to pause the video and find the perimeter of the parallelogram. When you come back, we'll go over your answer. All right, so if we do this the multiplication way, we would take 2 times 7 plus 2 times 4, which gives us 14 plus 8, which gives us 22 feet. If you did this using addition, you would do 7 plus 4 plus 7 plus 4. 7 plus 4 is 11, plus 7 is 18, plus 4 is 22 feet. So either way you do it, you get the same answer. Okay, so when we're done with the lesson, you need to try numbers 1 and 2 on your own and post those on Edmodo. But these are not the last parts of the lesson because we're also going to talk about area. The area of a parallelogram, we said, is the space that a figure takes up. So it's this inside space. And it's the number of square units that you can fit in this space. So the number of 1 by 1 squares that you can fit in here. For this reason, we take the formula base times height. This is pretty straightforward with a rectangle or with squares, but when we work with rhombuses and parallelograms, because of this slant right here, this slant is not equal to the height. So what we have to do, the reason this formula will work for parallelograms is if you cut off from the corner straight down of a parallelogram, if you cut that off and slide it over, you've now made yourself a rectangle. Okay, so we're going to just kind of take this away. See how now you have a rectangle here as a full shape? This is why the same formula, base times height, works for a parallelogram. However, the height, again, has to be this right here. And in this case, what you'll usually see is a dotted line going from that top part to the bottom. So if we go to our examples, the first one we're going to do, and I will do both of these with you, is a rectangle that has a base of 15 inches and a height of 9 inches. So area equals base times height. The base is 15, the height is 9. 15 times 9, I can do that over to the side. 5 times 9 is 45. Carry the 4. 1 times 9 is 9, plus 4 is 13. The area of this shape is 135. Now this is where it gets different. It's not inches, it's inches squared. And the reason for that, when we have repeated multiplication, we use exponents. In this case, we have repeated multiplication because we're doing 15 inches times 9 inches. So you have inches times inches, which it gives you inches squared. The squared also stands for the two different dimensions that you're multiplying together. One dimension being your base and one dimension being your height. So whenever you talk about area, it's always inches squared. Now, with your parallelogram, this is where it gets tricky because sometimes they'll give you an example and they'll have like 3.5 feet written here, and then they have this dotted line from the top corner to the base, and you have to know that this right here is the height. This is not the height. This is what you call the slant. Okay, so in this case, we're going to take the base, which is still 2.5 feet, and we are going to multiply it by the height, which is 1 1/4 feet. Okay, because we're still doing area equals base times height. When we multiply fractions, remember we have to turn these into improper fractions. So you multiply and then add. So we have 5/2 times, multiply and then add, 5/4, which gives you 25/8. With this, I know that I can make 3 groups. 8 times 3 is 24. I have 1 left over. So my area is 3 1/8 feet squared. Okay. Again, you have 2 problems that you're going to try on your own. Numbers 3 and number 4. So when you post to Edmodo, I want you to label your answers just like that. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. You don't have to tell me that it's a parallelogram or a rectangle, just number them. And also remember to label your units correctly. When we're working with perimeter, it's just the units. When we're working with area, it's the units squared. Again, if you have any questions, please make sure to post them to Edmodo or come prepared with them tomorrow.